Hi everyone! Today we're exploring Sirmione, which I honestly think is the most beautiful town on Lake Garda in northern Italy. It can get pretty crowded here, especially during peak season, but today it's winter and it's Friday. Most people are at work, so we should be able to enjoy a relaxed walk without too many tourists around. Let's see if I'm right. As you can see, Sirmione sits on a narrow peninsula stretching out into the lake. Even the last part of the drive to get here is amazing. For quite a while, you're literally driving alongside the water. In summer, you could already stop and swim around here, but the most stunning spot is definitely at the very tip of the peninsula, at the end of the pedestrian area. That's where we're heading later. All right, we've reached the end of the road. From here on, you have to find parking, because you can't drive any further without a special permit. During high season, it's honestly really hard to find a spot here. Sometimes you even have to turn around and park much farther away, which means a pretty long walk before you even reach the center. That's probably one of the main reasons that might discourage people from visiting this amazing town. But today, I actually found a parking spot super easily. Winter vibes are definitely on our side. So I'm now in the parking area, right before the entrance to the pedestrian zone. And honestly, it's already beautiful even out here. But we're about to see what I think is the absolute highlight of Sirmione, the entrance to the historic center and the castle. This is the spot where everyone stops to take photos, and I totally get why. In my opinion, this is the feature that makes Sirmione the most iconic place on Lake Garda. As you can see, the only way into town is by crossing this bridge and walking right under the walls of the castle. Wow. Every single time I come here, it still amazes me. This is what you see as soon as you step inside. On the right, there's the entrance to the small castle we were just looking at from the outside, and beyond that, the whole historic center unfolds. Today, the castle is open to visitors, and the ticket costs 10 euros. But the sun is going down soon, and I'd rather spend the remaining light exploring the town. I'll be making a separate video all about the castle here on the channel, so make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss it. As we walk past the castle, this is where the real historic center begins. The streets get narrower, the buildings feel closer, and suddenly you're surrounded by little shops, boutique hotels, cozy bars, and of course, plenty of gelato places, even in winter. Just like I expected, it's not too crowded today. There are still some people around, but it feels calm and relaxed. You can actually take your time, look around, and enjoy the details without constantly bumping into someone. That's honestly the best way to experience Sirmione. The stone streets, the colorful facades, the small balconies. Everything here feels charming and a bit timeless. It's the kind of place where you just want to slow down and wander without a real plan. As you keep walking, you'll also find a few small squares hidden around the town. They're all on the side facing the sunset, which makes them the perfect spots to stop for a moment. In the evening, the light hits the lake in such a beautiful way. It's definitely one of the best parts of being here. As we continue past the historic center, we arrive at the famous thermal baths. Next time I come here, I definitely need to plan ahead and spend a few hours relaxing in the hot thermal pools. Once you go beyond the spa area, the scenery changes again. The town slowly gives way to nature, with lots of green space, parks, and tall trees all around. Walking through this area feels much quieter and more open. If we keep following this path, we'll reach the very tip of the peninsula, where you'll find Jamaica Beach, one of the most famous beaches in the whole province. Unfortunately, I just found the gate closed on the path that leads down to Jamaica Beach. I could try to reach it from the other side, but I'm not even sure it's accessible right now. I probably have to walk through the water for a few meters to get there. And with this winter temperature, I don't think that's a great idea. This beach you're seeing now is called Lido delle Bionde. I'm going to try walking along it to reach Jamaica Beach, but as you can tell, the lake level is pretty high right now, so it might be tricky. In summer, especially when there hasn't been much rain, the water level drops a lot. When that happens, you can usually walk across this area without any problems. I've made it this far, but from here, it's impossible to continue without getting into the water. If you're brave enough and don't mind getting a little wet, you can keep going in that direction and eventually reach the famous beach. Now, I'm heading back along the same path toward the entrance of the historic center. It's almost evening, and the light is starting to change. In a few minutes, I'm going to do a proper night tour with all the lights on. Trust me, Sirmione after dark is something else. So stay with me, because this place at night is absolutely worth seeing. And here we are. After a short break at a bar, I'm finally ready for a proper evening walking tour through the same streets we explored earlier during the day. Now everything feels different. The atmosphere, the light, the reflections on the lake. We'll walk back through the historic center and then return to the castle at the entrance of the town. I'm really curious to see how it transforms at night with all the lights on.